Hey chat, we'll be starting soon. I just haven't quite picked what I'm meant to be wearing, and I'm already super late, I know. But we are going to be delving into more liberal slop. As we know, we are now in the post-liberal age, according to Ross Douthat, general brain genius and intelligent man. We're going to be finishing the podcast where two conservative feminists debate. And we'll start very shortly. I'm just going to get myself a tea, and I recommend that everyone else does too. See you soon.
The one thing.
Hey everyone! Hello, 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 and hi, and hello, and welcome everyone. It's so good to have everyone here. Hello to Jenny and Ro, the Fairthing Lion, and to Middle-earth Marxist, and Cherry Pitspit, and to Ninny161. Hello and welcome to the stream, and hi Esme Evenstar. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hello, 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 and hi. I'm so late starting this stream. It's stupid. I'm so sorry, everyone. I just had a bit of a weird time leading into the stream. Hello, 1337 Artemis. Hello, Valerie Valkyrie. Lovely to have you all here. It's so nice to see you all. I was aiming to get ready for 6:30. Now it's nearly 7:30. I feel like I've absolutely fucked this one up. I still have to actually make my cup of tea, but yeah, I was just all over the place. I was a bit spacey because I had how do I best describe it? A costuming incident. My partner and I were preparing something for a thing. It's hard to explain, and it was like way too tight on my neck, and I just didn't realize until like way too late, and then I was like and I was just like super spaced out, and I've been kind of just more than anything like waiting to return to feel normal before the stream, but I also like I hit a point of feeling pretty normal and like I could probably stream, and then I just didn't have any of the clothes that I needed to be wearing to be streaming. It was very silly. But I'm okay now, and we're doing the liberal slop stream. We're actually doing the liberal slop stream. As we know, it is the post-liberal age, and we know that because of Ross Douthat, who's really, really clever. I can't really just say that. You can't just say that, you know? So I wanted to have a little look at a Zoran article penned by Douthat as a little Douthat taster warm-up for everyone, and then go back into the podcast that we were watching last time, and that'll be the main content of the stream today, the debate between two conservative feminists. But as always, we will look at some comments first. But before that, I'm going to make some tea. If you're enjoying the stream, and I at this point, it's been like 15 minutes of lo-fi jazz to study and relax to, and then like 5 minutes of me rambling on in a very silly way, so why would you? But if at any point in the stream you find yourself enjoying the stream, please remember to pay for the stream by subscribing or cheering or donating directly using Command Tip. I have a donation goal. It's the last stream of November now. And oh, I'm still a little bit spacey. Here's the command tip in the chat. If you're a VOD watcher, hi, hello. You're about to... Oh my goodness, Catgirl Steph. You just donated £20. Thank you so much. And the chat message says, meow. So, thank you so much for your £20 tip. I really appreciate that. And I was saying, VOD watchers, hi, hello to the VOD watchers. We love you so much. We're going to read some VOD comments. So remember that if you're a VOD watcher, you're not left out by missing the stream thing. The live stream, you can still comment and I'll read it on the next stream if there's an interesting discussion to be had. And that means also that you're just as liable to need to help to buy me treats. So please go to the link below the VOD if you're watching the VOD, and subscribe to my Patreon would be the most ideal way. I'd really appreciate that if you like my streams. I don't have much going on. I'm saying this now to live viewers as well as chat, but it's just kind of a general update. I don't have loads going on in terms of video projects at the moment because I've hit another kind of big mental health wall in the winter, and like a lot of like kind of bodily trauma coming back out through me. Like a lot of stuff has happened to me at almost exactly this time. Let's just say several years of my life recently, and what's more than several? Many, I guess. And so I think like next year I need to. Midlife Marxist says, "Don't waste money on Black Friday slop. Send that money to Sophie Treats." That reminds me of something else. I need to show the stream and the VOD before we carry on with the stream. But it's true. Also remember that it is Christmas coming up, and this is my job, and this is how I get paid. So even for me to get presents for other people, I need money, me, etc. Okay, I think I've said all the stuff. I'm going to make a tea, so I probably put the jazz back on for a second, and then we're going to get into comments. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's do that. I think that was genius. Hi Morgana, welcome to the stream. Audio only because phone companies are cringe. Phone companies are officially cringe. I just had another thought about what I was saying. I was saying that I'm not really working on my video projects right now because of a bunch of drama, and I think I'm also taking a period of just trying to like rediscover some of my creative like draw and like what I like doing about making videos. I have projects that are ongoing that like I don't dislike them and want to abandon them. I really want to finish them, in fact, but I think like I'm approaching them at the moment from way too much of a like here's my takes kind of approach, like just like I'm gonna sit on the sofa here and just say my takes. And there are some videos that kind of need to be that, but there's bigger projects where like I think me feeling like creatively more invested and artistically more invested in it is like actually quite important to me doing it definitely well, but possibly just at all. So my plan is to I don't know in what order I'm going to do things, but my plan is to basically do a shorter thing sometime over the winter as a project that I'm trying to like investigate like what I like doing in video projects, like in an artsy, silly, maybe theatrical way or cinematic way or whatever. Anyway, so the first thing I was going to show everyone is that Ro the Lion, who's here in chat with us, drew me as a lioness, a pink-haired lioness, and I think I showed last stream someone else's art, and I wanted to show this off too. So let me just do change to the window capture, so we can go over to. Now why isn't that showing up? What's wrong now? I've upset Streamlabs somehow. I'm very sorry about this. Discord. There we go. And I really like this. So let me show you. I really like this for a few reasons. Obviously, it's just cute as hell. Like I love seeing like myself with big fluffy ears and a tail like that. But and I love the hoops as well. Recognizing my hoops, I appreciate. The text here. Now, you don't have to give me treats, but if you were to give me treats, the writings of future scholars in our Martian utopia will definitely say it was the right call. And what Ro has done here is make a Pascal's Wager or Rocco's Basilisk, but for giving me treats. And I think that's really funny. And I guess for anyone who might be viewing who suffers from like excessive scrupulosity or moral OCD and is the kind of person who would fall for Rocco's Basilisk, don't worry. The Martian scholars will not write negatively about anyone for not having given me treats, except Keir Starmer, actually. And the treats are gender-affirming surgery, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I love this. I just wanted to show that off before we go through to what was the next thing? Window capture. How do you work? No one knows. Everyone's saying they love it. Valerie's lovely Italian. Hey, welcome to the stream. Saying that's really cool. And Middle Earth Marxist saying it's cute. And Valerie Valkyrie agreeing. Esme Evenstar saying so pink and cute. Thank you, everyone. And congratulations to Ro. Like, it's so, like, yeah, so lovely. So thank you, Ro. Okay, we are now looking at, so drag that window over there, close that. Oh, so many windows. Okay. We are now looking at some comments. So just one that's been making me chuckle whenever I've looked at it all week is just I feel a sense of second-hand embarrassment for all the people involved in the in the podcast. Well, Yad on the Cat, you're going to feel it some more because we're gonna be watching some more. It's coming up. It's there. Okay. Xenia Mark II says a small remark, but no big thoughts to add. Unfortunately, as a Ukrainian, it cuts my ears to hear Kiev. I'm trying here already, you can see, be pronounced the Russian way, Kiev. When referring to the city, please pronounce it Kyiv, not Kiev, Yiv as in Yeehaw, not Yev as in Sarajevo. Don't know how better to explain. It's hard to anglicize correctly as English doesn't use the exact sounds we do. So it won't be perfect anyway, but important to distinguish the difference, I think. And I think so too, and Valerie is saying it's Kyiv, or that's their interpretation anyway. I looked up on Wikipedia about this distinction and how the anglicization does just fuck it up because we just don't have the right letters or sounds. Like there are sounds in that are denoted in Cyrillic that we don't have, right? And so we're not used to saying them, and so they're so hard to pronounce or whatever. Sorry, that stuff often gets on my nerves. It's just like people talk about things being difficult, and they mean from their perspective and with their context and experience, and that's fine. But sometimes that annoys me. Usually because it's white people saying it about the names of the culture of people that you know. Anyway, I listened to there are 3 audio files on the Wikipedia page that's about the pronunciations. There's like the English fuck up pronunciation that's just like Kiev, and then the Russian pronunciation, which is like that, but with slightly different vowel pronunciations. But then what bothered me was how I understood from Xenia's comment here how to say Kiev sounded more like the Russian pronunciation in those recordings than the Ukrainian one, which was more like Kyiv. Kyiv. So I'm gonna say Kyiv based on what we've got here, and any more clarifying comments are actually super appreciated. I don't try to like always say stuff exactly how always call like a place by its like endonym and with perfect pronunciation or whatever. I think this is a habit that people get into that is like technically respectful but like a little bit pretentious. But when it comes to places that are currently being bombed in a in a military war of aggression or a genocide, like in Gaza, I think it's respectful for people to make an effort to learn how to say stuff. And obviously, efforts to learn how to say stuff right are going to be flawed, but they're still worthwhile. Hermeneutics, welcome to the stream. Catgirl Steph, I think, no, hang on, you already donated, so I have already said hi to you. Hi, anyway. And was there anyone else who's come in who I've missed? Valerie says, I've gotten back into drawing kind of recently. Maybe I should draw something for you. Not nearly as good as that, though. That's very sweet of you. Rose says, no, for real, names are not difficult. They are just tongue noises, and we can say everything if we're patient and try. Exactly. That's how I feel as well. So, why not try? Okay. I do remember one time that I messed up pronunciation of something in a video and had a comment from someone who was like really insistent that I hadn't even tried, and I had. And that was I'm not going to get into like the language that it was or any of this stuff because it's not really that relevant. I had tried. And sometimes the trying is just a bit imperfect, and that's sad. But it kind of tickled me because they were just like, yeah, like So we have a comment here from a vet about the point that they made, if you remember last week, about how being a vet has been feminized because it's become corporatized, right? And that's apparently a very feminine way for it to work. Which, like, Helen argues is because men take risks more, brackets, men have more money, so more women training to be vets means more vets working as part of big corporate structures instead of taking risks and being self-employed, which like sounds like a good analysis. Like it makes all the sounds that are like quite like how a good analysis sounds. Anyway, holy fuck, that veterinary point is so ass backwards. I'm a vet. The reason corporatization is occurring in the veterinary profession is due to general wealth disparity, not more women vets. It's older male practice owners selling their business to the highest bidder to secure a cushy retirement, and surprise, surprise, MNCs have the deepest pockets. I am understanding that to mean multinational corporations. Veterinary practices are solid investments because more people are getting pets. I have my own hypothesis related to alienation and capitalism as to why this is. That's very interesting. At Faulty Explosion, feel free to leave a comment explaining your theory there. And I'm also curious if you read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which, if you are a vet, if you haven't read it, you may not realize, like, if you've only seen Blade Runner, you may not realize the connection I'm trying to make there, but it's actually like, yeah. Hey Vod, welcome to the stream. Have my own hypothesis related to alienation and capitalism as to why this is. And when they do, they want to look after them better than previously due to advances in animal welfare science and animal rights discourse in popular culture. The idea that women naturally want more flexible hours than men is fucking ridiculous. Preaching to the choir here, but women vets and vet nurses who want to start families are more likely than their colleagues who are men to be expected to take on the role of primary caregiving. There is also the issue of systemic sexual harassment for men in the workplace. Sometimes clients, sometimes colleagues, and sometimes practice owners. And no, I don't mean push-up contests, but unwanted advances. There's also issues with clients not taking a woman vet's advice due to sexist conditioning. Great. A number of my colleagues have had issues with owners not trusting them simply because they looked young or wore makeup. And I think this comment is great because it gets to it. It's about one specific example of what we're looking at in the debate with Helen and oh my goodness, I've forgotten the other woman's name in the podcast, and it's let me full screen and chat about it. It's one specific example, and we're talking about like the veterinary industry specifically, but it goes beyond that, doesn't it? Right? Like it's the is it a category error? It's the logical error that she's made throughout, like all the arguments we've seen so far, which is that there have been people claiming to want to make the world more woke and make capitalism and the workplace more woke, and there have been more women in the workplace over time, and the advancements of liberal feminism, right, are not necessarily the same as what's been claimed as the advancements of liberal feminism. But she takes it as read. I mean, they both do. They both take it as read that like everything woke claimed, woke did, just like achieved it overnight. It was no issue. And this meant all these businesses, in her view, becoming feminine and becoming feminized, which, but like, but it's not that, is it? Right? Like there is a synthesis at play. It's only like, it's not only this one force just swinging in, right, and shifting everything in this one direction. It's this one force that might be coming in this way, but like will meet immediate opposition and is going to like battle at every step and every. You remember how we talked on the stream before about like systematics as opposed to systemics and like things that happen in all cases. Well, feminism coming into the workplace is something that will like iteratively and systematically spread through the workforce, and there will be things that have to conversations and arguments as well, and changes that will have to happen time and time again, and they don't align with the abstract idea or ideal of how we'd like it all to work out. So like, I'm not saying that every problem comes from conservatives or reactionaries, misogynists in the workplace pushing back against liberal feminism. Some of it comes from, as it were, like lateral forces, things that are not just like the direct opposite of the feminism itself. Things like the alienation under capitalism, right? Like a huge problem that we're dealing with here is that we're talking about liberal feminism, not any actual kind of radical feminism that could really meaningfully change things. But I definitely have the point still. I promise. It's not gone. It's right here. I promise. I'm not saying that it's all the force of like a perfect opposite reactionary that's caused all the problems. It's many things, but they are saying in this debate, in this podcast, that all of the problems come from, as it were, the like perfect model of liberal feminism, and they're only critiquing that, but only critiquing it by the outcomes they see, as if those were all the intentions. It's very strange. It's all very strange. It's mashing a bunch of stuff together unjustly. We could use like kind of well trodden phrases like moving the goalposts or whatever, but I don't know if. Yeah, I mean it's all sorts of rhetorical manipulation, and it's very irritating. So we are going to carry on with the podcast. I'm just going to check if there are any other comments. Oh, our very own Jenny Azoth, sometime chat scum, sometimes VOD princess, wrote an essay about QAnon and Homestuck. after I threw that out there. You all can go read it if you're in the Patreon Discord. So there's also an incentive to go to patreon.com/Sophie from Mars and become a $5 patron so you can join the Discord. It was a cute time, Jenny. I liked it. So, yes, here's quite a fun one. This is the other one I really wanted to include here. So let's go back to the live screen, and we're back over here. Okay. Vartok says, I'm sure this isn't exactly a new observation, but during this stream, it especially clicked that lib slop writers are just marketing guys. Like there is an agenda at play, but the way they go about the agenda is through the lens of marketing. Yes, exactly. This is a big one. Thank you. I'm so glad to have someone kind of explicitly name this realization as it's happening for them. That's why you see racism all over, where previously it would have been transphobia. It was shown to be popular by the re-election of the racism president, so now we're adding it everywhere, like it's RPG mechanics in a triple A games or matcha flavoring in junk food. That's why they think American racists wouldn't vote for this. It's a good dunk on like Mamdani. They see it like a marketing guy would see trying to sell Barbie dolls to adult men. Middle Earth Marxist says Mad Men brain. Yep, definitely. Everyone from Ezra Klein to Aaron Sorkin has a certain amount of Mad Men brain, definitely. Yeah, I like this comment. My one thing with it is the Vartok said, "What this is where you see racism all over, where previously it would have been transphobia," and this is a complicated one. And I'm not just saying as a trans woman that actually the transphobia isn't gone and we need to. I'm not. That's not what I'm. I am saying that a little bit, to be fair. Like, the transphobia is still everywhere, and in some places it's worse. I also don't know if Vartok is trans. I have no idea. So, like, whatever. The point I'm more trying to get at is that the forces by which, like, the scapegoat minority of the week changes are very complicated forces, and it might be a topic of an entire future stream because, like, it's a very complicated thing. Zyros has just on command Discord in chat, and I should absolutely add the Discord, or a command for saying Discord, but it's a Patreon only Discord, and so there you go. Patreon.com/Sophie from Mars is the way that you get into it. Yeah, I think that Trump too has been more explicitly racist proportionally, I guess. It's more of the focus is on race. There has been a thing. There was something in between Trump 1 and 2 where a bunch of Republicans realized that their transphobia was less popular than they wanted it to be, and lost a bunch of stuff. And so, like, stopped running it quite as hard. But yeah, it's a complicated set of forces, and it has to do with a bunch of stuff. Because it's a machine that the stuff that they cover in, that Chomsky covers in Manufacturing Consent, like, about how the media propagandizes to the population, the capitalist media. It's a complicated machine. I've said complicated so many times because I'm trying to not get too far into it, and that's really silly. But it can also change direction very quickly. So, like, in the British press, there were like 1,000 pieces a month about trans people a few years ago. I don't know what the figure currently is, but I do know that the year before that, there were like 100 in the whole year, and it just like shot up to this crazy fever pitch because there was something like very deliberate going on there. There was also a period when Romania joining the EU was an ongoing topic, and so the British racist press that relies on racism as a regular part of their content made Romanians like the very intense like focus of all of their scapegoating and hatred for a little while, and then dropped it as well, just like moved on. And I think with trans people, there is something quite fundamental to do with patriarchy and trans women, where our liberation would require a big shift in society, but also our persecution like this is manufactured around a specific moment to drive wedges in the left through turfism and to organize around a politics of disgust and all this kind of stuff. So that too is complex, just because, like, yeah, we are being persecuted so intensely right now towards other ends, right? Like it's a lightning rod for chronic losers when you say, I want to bully this minority group out of existence, right? All of the absolute lifelong pieces of shit are like, hell yeah. Um, yeah, so. Um, considering whether I'm gonna get into the thing I'm thinking about properly or if I'm gonna just move on. Yeah, go on. All right. So, chat, what do we know about body fascism and fascism's relationship to the body? Because this is like, I think something that's worth bringing up in the context of Trump and trans people. Because this is like, it's just quite significant, I think. So, like, I don't know if people are aware of the idea of like, I think it was Umberto Eco who talked about this first, but like the fascist art and the asexual nude. Um, which is basically Fash always have loved like art that like celebrates the human body in a sort of perfect machine sort of way while like not acknowledging the the very obviously specifically white supremacist patriarchal colonial and fascist ideas that are being promoted in it when you celebrate like a marble statue of a guy with his like well-defined muscles like slaying his enemies. Let's say it's like who was it who fought there are famous sculptures of um it's not Jacob wrestled the angel uh the name Marcus just popped in my head. And I was like, "There's no Marcus in the Bible, babe. What the fuck are you on about?" Um, I was just thinking of there's a is it David? That makes sense, right? Because it's the Philistines. Duh, right? There's like a statue of this kind, right, where there's like some kind of violence being depicted, some kind of domination, and this all relates very closely into like homofascism when people talk about how just like deeply gay fascism is, because it's gay as fuck. Like those dudes want to suck and fuck really badly, and some of them do as well, because some of them are just like comfortable with the idea that they just don't want women basically to exist, or at least to have like past being property. Like they don't want women to have any kind of say or agency in society whatsoever, and they only respect men, so obviously they love men. And this is a kind of overlap, I think, is the best description of it, because it's not that like homofascism causes the fascist asexual nude or vice versa, but that like but that like there are people who'll be looking at the fascist love of like the well-defined perfect male body. It's usually men as well, and they will be like, that's a bit fucking gay, and that's not the point to the fascist who's trying to celebrate like the power of the body. All of this, by the way, has been said so much better and faster than me in that Jungle remix where they say that Jungle remix of "You Fascists Bound to Lose," where they say "big in the body, small in the mind." That's all you need to say, really. But it's like I was chatting with my wife about this this week, and we were talking about the no makeup look, and how of all the styles and aesthetics in the world, like this is a very subtly fascist one, because it's all about like presenting the body in a perfect way, as if you just got out of bed like that, and in its application, like in its as in its everyday use, it's a lot of women pretending they haven't done makeup, deliberately like invisibilizing the gendered labor they have done to make men feel better, and obviously to make themselves feel better as well. But like there's just a lot of people who would not be bothering if it weren't for patriarchy, and a whole bunch of other people who would still do it, but it would be wholly for themselves and therefore feel better. Okay. And all of that relates to Trump and trans people. You've been bearing with me. I hope you all have. Um, thank you for bearing with my ridiculous rambling. All of that relates to trans people. I got distracted by the view of myself in the Streamlabs. That's like, that's very vain of me. Like very like, but also like, wow. All that relates to Trump and trans people because disgust at the body and like the idea that people have a body and are like, you know, breathing, eating, shitting, horny, dumb animals that have just like sensations, just like dictating their needs and habits and behaviors. That stuff is gross to fascists who believe in, you know, total order and domination. And so you have Trump's like famous remarks of like, she was bleeding from her wherever, right? You have women being chided and scolded and degraded for having had plastic surgery. You have like Trump has this attitude very deeply ingrained as well, right? There are stories of him from his private life of him like there was it like an old man falling down at a party and he's like bleeding and like people are rushing to help him and Trump just turns his back and like a lot of people here I've seen discuss this have said like, well, yeah, he just has no empathy, but it's not just that. It's like he is grossed out by like the fact that people have bodies, right? He's just disgusted by bodies. He's a massive germaphobe as well. Apparently so is Putin, interestingly. I'm kind of sick of Anglophone takes on Putin, by the way. So if I mention him, like, if you need my take, I think he shouldn't be doing that, all the stuff he's doing, but I'm just going to end it there. Like, I'm so sick of, like, English speakers and their takes on stuff that is going on, where they try to get really fucking intellectual about one thing or another, and they're always imagining all sorts of, like, fucking 4D chess, and, yeah. Anyway, so we can see also how the body becomes something that is referenced in fascist politics only in the like degradation of minority groups, right? Like they're propagandizing that like people of color, immigrants, trans people as well, this is an overlap with trans people, that fascists believe minorities are some sort of like sex criminal, pervert, rapist, right? Like that's a typical fascist belief because it positions these groups as being overcome with disgusting urges, right? So like the sexual abuse among fascists, like they just don't care about that because it's about a kind of domination that they respect and desire and applaud. But it's also assumed to be under a sort of rational control. Like it's decisions that have been made that make sense to them, as opposed to groups who they see as a threat because of a lack of like rational capacity and intelligence and being like some kind of animal, basically, right? There's a bunch more besides. I think I shouldn't say all of this without also pointing out that like Trump looks like complete shit and is one of the most like physically disgusting human beings on the planet Earth. Because I think it's also like actually quite relevant to the discussion of bodies and fascism, because like the fact that he looks like shit and people respect him and give him their support and he takes their money and he becomes the president, all this stuff, it has a sort of like, here's a very apt metaphor for Trump, it has an effect like a golf handicap, right? Like you look at him and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. And people still are respecting him, right? It's like if he looked like Brad Pitt and people were respecting him, there would be a plausible argument people could make that his followers were being like duped by his good looks, and instead him being like very typical American patriarch in a bunch of ways. And some things that are like tacky in a way that appeals to that same sensibility, like his fake tan. And at the same time, him expressing an enormous amount of like shaming other people's bodies, like him calling people fat is one that always just like it tickles me. It used to baffle me because he is fat, and also being fat is great. Look at this. Look at that. You need fat to do that. I'm talking to every trans girl who follows me who is trying to be as thin as possible. You won't get titties without fat. They are made of fat. You have to eat the fat. Yeah, like it always tickles me, like Trump shaming people this way. And I didn't understand it, but I think now I do. And it's this like, he is expressing body fascism into the world. And this is, laudable by the fascists. The fascists love that he's doing this. He is not achieving body fascist ideals on his own body, but he is acting like a fucking cop to people around him about their bodies, and this tells you that he is aligned with the right virtues, right? It's like a virtue ethics, but for an ideal of what the human body should look like. And all of this is now moot because he's in love with Mamdani, so. Okay, so we've done comments. I've chatted about about body fascism. You've had my little tangent there. Maybe it's a good time. Sorry about this, everyone. I think my throat is a little bit. It's not hurting or anything, but I have been like. It's been too dry and stuff since before I had the breathing issue. Now is a good time to say, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I would really appreciate all of those things. It would mean a lot to me and help me be able to... what things am I trying to do at the moment? I'm pretty okay with like paying my bills and buying food at the moment. I am getting my tattoos colored in, my planet tattoos. I'm very excited about these, actually. Let me show you. So I've just gotten Mars and Jupiter and Uranus and Neptune. My Saturn is on my tummy, so I can't get that out right now. But I have, I am getting Earth and Venus and Mercury colored in a couple of weeks, and so that's something that your tips would go towards. What else? Presents for my loved ones, since Christmas is coming up. If the stream grows in popularity and we get more tips, I might start saving up for a better camera for my astrophotography. But that's kind of a long-term goal. All in all, your money, because money is instructional tokens that you can use to have agency in the world, will make my life better, and I'll have a nicer time having my life be good because of the money. So please subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. That's command !TIP. And if you're a VOD watcher, or if you're a chatter who's interested in this, please subscribe to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/SophieFromMars. If you go $5, you can get into the Patreon, into the Discord, which I can see someone just has, actually. Zyros has just joined the server. That's really cool. Okay. I have now done the plug. Now we read a little Ross Douthat piece. And yes, it is Mamdani Cope, yes. Actually, okay, chat, tell me when I start this one if I've read this one already, or if Mamdani Cope articles are just absolutely fucking identical. Because it could be either. So we're going to read this, and then we're going to watch the end of that podcast, and that's the stream for today. Okay, one more time. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. Vodrella has just said, gotta mention Throne.com, which is a platform a lot of streamers use to allow chat to buy them stuff. That's really cool. I would like to have the money so I can buy the stuff. But if there are people who would like to buy me things, let me know in the comments of the VOD, let me know in chat. Putting stuff like a new DSLR on throne for the possibility that someone who's very rich and very, I don't know, parasocially in love with me wants to buy me a new camera, then yeah. But we're going to read the article now. Okay. Mamdani's victory is less significant than you think. So this is a transcription of another Interesting Times episode. Oh, it's not a transcription, sorry. It's a thinking around the same theme. Okay. Does Zoran Mamdani's win mean a new dawn for the Democratic Party? Not exactly, Ross Douthat argues. In this mini-episode of Interesting Times, Ross explains that the New York mayor's office has historically been a springboard to nowhere, rather than a precursor for national politics. Below is an edited transcript of an edited episode of Interesting Times. We recommend listening to it in its original form for the full effect. I'm already going to watch half an episode tonight, and I think that's honestly strong enough. I don't know what happened to me. I used to be able to get the full effect of a whole Interesting Times episode. But I guess it's just age. Like, I'm nearly 30 now. I gotta have just one episode, and then, honestly, like half an episode and then go to bed. It's too much slop. I can't handle it anymore. Where are we? We are back on Streamlabs. There we go. It's official. Zoran Mamdani has been elected mayor of New York City, raising the flag of the far left over Gotham. Fuck off. Sorry, Cherry Pit, but I don't understand the message. What's the onset time? What does that mean? Rose says, still wanting to buy you a specific video game. Yes, I will. I still have not got my own Steam because it got hacked and sold. But, Hermeneutics says, thank you for the body positivity moment earlier. I was eating and feeling bad about it, and it helped. Yay to being a fat trans mask. Hell yeah to everyone getting fat. I'm just like, personally, I want to make sure that I'm still physically capable. I want to be strong. I want to be able to bike around to the places I want to go. I want to be able to run away from the cops. But just like, get fat. There's more of you. That's a good thing. It's good for there to be more of you. I'm again speaking to the T-girls who are fans of mine who think that being rail thin is the only way to be feminine. I'm telling you. Actually, you know what? Let me full screen this one. This is important because I just know so many trans girls specifically are trying to be as thin as possible. And I just want to say to you, it is good when there is more of you. And the people who like you will like that there are more of you. And the people who don't can eat my shit and hair, personally. So eat some fucking food and get fat as hell. It's great. Right, let's get back to the stream. Okay. Okay. Raising the flag of the far left over Gotham. I hate the way these people talk. And if you believe the hype or fears of his critics, then the 34-year-old Ugandan-born Muslim democratic socialist is poised to remake the Democratic Party, thrilling young voters, mainstreaming socialism and anti-Zionism, and offering himself as the starkest possible contrast to that other New Yorker in the White House. But I'm skeptical. The odds are that Mamdani's victory is actually less significant than you think. In part, that's because the media, still New York-centric, even in this supposedly decentralized age, tends to hype New York mayoral politics beyond its real significance. Its real significance is a bit of a strange one, right? Like, before we carry on, it's just like, well, if the media tends to hype it up more, that will have a spectacular effect. Like, it will affect the rest of the world because the media is hyping it up more. Not like, it won't have the same effect. If the media said this is the most important thing in the world, and then Mamdani wins, and then socialism hasn't won the world, right? But if the media said it's the most significant thing in the world, and then Mamdani wins, there will be a bunch of, like, socialists inspired by this, and, like, socialist wins that will come in the wake of it. There will be, because of the spectacular effect. It's also because the office of mayor of New York City has tended to be a political springboard to nowhere. Time and again, we've seen famous New York City mayors from John Lindsay to Rudy Giuliani to Michael Bloomberg hyped as national political influences, only to flop outside the 5 boroughs. Well, again, like, this is kind of assuming that Zoran is pointed towards one day being president, which is, like, fine, I guess, if that's what he is trying to do. But, like, but it's not just about one guy, is it? Anyway. When Eric Adams was elected, just 4 years ago, there was a lot of talk about how his distinctive branding as a tough-on-crime, African-American, moderate, might make him a leader for the National Democratic Party. Obviously, that didn't work out. Yeah. We're just skipping the entire mayorship of Eric Adams, like nothing to say about. Obviously, it didn't work out. And all of those figures were at least trying to be centrist or moderates. Or at least trying to be centrist. Okay. Whereas Mamdani has been elected as the left-wing mayor of a left-wing city, and imagining that makes him a model for how the Democratic Party should compete nationwide is a little bit like imagining that a far-right Republican elected in Alabama or Idaho is likely to offer a template for how Republicans should compete in swing states. It is a bit like that. One of the similarities is that people seem to be enjoying that idea now and following that idea now that a left-wing mayor winning a left-wing city means that more people in the Democratic Party should be more left-wing. And that's similar to the other idea because the other idea is also a thing that happened and then won a bunch of people votes. Like, the Republican Party, when Trump used to be popular, or like, I guess the 2 times he's been popular around the elections, like, other Republicans have imitated him to some success because of a national movement in favor of his kind of politics, and the same is true in this direction as well. Oh, Christ. It's just like, I say this time and again. Oh, God, now I'm talking like them. I've said this many times. But the liberal slop people, this entire media machine, loves to talk about what a serious problem Trump is when they feel like they are the only alternative. And when a socialist pops up, they all scramble as hard as they can. And to be clear, like, Ross Douthat is a piece of shit. Like, this guy is not, like, I'm not saying this guy thinks that he's, like, a centre-left liberal. I would be very shocked to learn that he does. Be shocked to learn he thinks. But, like, but he, I think his most recent book is, like, Everyone Should Be Religious, which is just, like, come on. Am I losing my train of thought? No. I've never lost a train of thought in my life. But they all scramble so, like, intensely to get, like, their takes out to say that socialism is impossible. And this is always the line as well. Like, I was talking to my mum earlier this week, and, like, she thinks that Zach Polanski, the leader of the Greens in the UK, is being unrealistic with the stuff that he's offering. And, like, I know that she listens to, like, podcasts that are, like, by people who've been in power. So very similar to how, like, the liberal slop writers use their connections to power to legitimize the claims that the ruling class want to legitimize. And she's like, yeah, the Green Party, it's unrealistic. They're promising stuff that's unrealistic. It's bad that what they're doing. And let's leave aside that she has a trans daughter and there's only one party in the UK right now that's... just put a pin in that. But... it's always this line from the commentariat, liberal intelligentsia, the liberal slop people, the Alistair Campbell podcast, Ross Douthat article, that socialism is impossible. And that's a really important lesson for us all to learn, right? Is just that, like, impossible means don't try. It's an instruction. It's saying don't try. It's not saying, like, what is the utility of telling someone something is impossible? Don't waste your energy doing it because it can't be achieved, right? It's warning against a waste of energy and commanding that people don't. It's an instruction, and, like, if people never ever try, what basis is there to say that the thing can't actually be done, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And we can also see the motives that these people have and the motives that are at play. I just realized I haven't had my necklace on all this time. I'm not going to go get it now. That's fine. It's likely to be a fantasy. I'll say this for Mamdani, though. He's come on the scene at a moment when the leftward wing of the Democratic Party is looking for a national leader. Because Bernie Sanders can't live forever, and it's not clear that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or any other figure is quite ready to fill Sanders' shoes. So there might be a future where Mamdani ends up getting elected as a governor or a senator and becomes an important factional leader on the left. At the same time that he's saying, like, this is pointless and going nowhere, he's also, like, absolutely shitting his pants because, like, he's like, this is the New York City mayor's office is a springboard to nowhere. But it's entirely possible Mamdani might be like, oh, a governor or a senator or whatever. But he's not going to become president. And it's like, you're the one talking about him becoming president. You brought that up. You literally brought that up. That could happen, I suppose, if he governs absolutely brilliantly, maybe even by imitating Sanders' own successful turn as the pragmatic sewer-socialist mayor, Jesus Christ, of the somewhat smaller city of Burlington, Vermont. This is meant to be a joke, that it's somewhat smaller than New York. Okay. I think that's the best case for his long-term political significance, but I think that it's more likely that 4 years of actually governing New York City will demonstrate yet again why getting elected mayor is so often a career peak rather than an opening into something bigger than the Big Apple. I just don't... I guess in some sense I'll be disappointed if Mamdani, like, finishes being New York mayor and tries to run for something else. Because what we need by that time that happens is for there to be, like, just infinite, like, socialist candidates across the United States and across the world fighting and winning in the electoral realm. And that's like, Rose says, what is a sewer socialist? I don't know. This is, like, baffling to me. But yeah, I'm not rooting for Mamdani to, like, do really good as mayor and then become governor and then become president. I just, like, yeah, it's just very strange. It is just, like, the thing that we as collectivists, I guess, are hoping for is that a whole ton of people will come out and do the same thing, and that there'll be an enormous movement that represents the politics of socialism, right? Like, we're not actually hoping for there to just be one guy who saves us all. That's just not very communist, you know? That's just not really how it tends to... Whatever. Okay. Chat, how are we feeling? Are we ready for the podcast to resume? Are we ready to get back into the debate between two conservative feminists, looking for an anti-woke feminism that will save the modern workplace from the failures of liberal feminism? And remember that this entire conversation was renamed Did Liberal Feminism Ruin the Workplace? From Did Women Ruin the Workplace? Yan Shafim, welcome to the stream. Yan Shafim says, the Greens are unrealistic. Not a word of a lie out of Boris Johnson's mouth. Not a word of a lie out of Boris Johnson's mouth, though. The underlying message is always just, I'm the only adult in the room full of silly children, and it's designed to shame and patronize people out of action. Absolutely. I think the best way I've seen people saying it recently is a bunch of people have been saying, if it was impossible, they wouldn't have to try so hard to convince you, right? If it was impossible for us to win, they wouldn't have to try so hard to tell us it's impossible. So, people are not happy that we're going to be carrying on with the podcast, but that's what we're doing. We're going to watch the rest of this podcast, and then I'm going to go to bed. Basically, I'm going to take my snacks and my vibrator and fuck off. And that's what's happening. Okay, let's watch Ross do that. But I wish he wouldn't. I always wish he wouldn't. Okay, I'll interrupt regularly to talk about what they're up to, and I'll also read stuff from chat. So chat, absolutely conversate as much as you want about the podcast and what your thoughts on it are. And again, sorry, Valerie the Lovely Italian said there's a popular saying in the United Kingdom, and then sent a message right after it that said, Lizzie's in a box. Lizzie's in a box. Lizzie's in a box. Harry left the family and Andy is a nonce. Okay. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. Or you can go to patreon.com/SophieFromMars and support me there. We are going to watch the podcast now.
This is, I mean, just in terms of the overall societal consequences, right? The stakes of this argument. We're not just talking about, sort of workplace dynamics, right? We're talking about academia failing to solve serious problems, journalists failing to report the whole truth about the world, right? Like, this is your critique of feminization. I think it is a reasonable critique of things that wokeness did. But you can find plenty of historical case studies where regimes, systems, forms of government did all the kinds of things that you're bemoaning under entirely male-dominated conditions.
I am baffled by people who think that a litany of male failures is some kind of rebuttal. Not to say that you're making a bad point. I think you're making a very sensible point.
You can tell me I'm making a bad point. It's not a litany of male failures. It's the kind of male failures. Like, if the stakes here are feminized institutions don't adequately seek truth, but it seems to be that there are many situations where institutions
I need to say, it's actually like stomach-churningly repulsive that this little gremlin is talking about seeking truth, of all things. Like, that's what we're all doing here, is progressing into the sunlit uplands to fucking seek the truth. That's what we're all here for, Ross. That's absolutely right. Esme Evenstar, thank you so much for tipping £10 and saying, thanks for the slop. You likely won't remember because it was over 2 years ago and I had a different username. But I told you that you helped me realize I was Envy. Now I'm a trans woman, and I've been on HRT for 1.5 years. Hooray! That's really exciting. I'm really glad to hear that, Esme. Congratulations, and I'm really glad that I've helped you along in your journey, and I am glad you're still here. That's really sweet. And yeah, HRT for 1.5 years. God, what a crazy time that was. I am 5.5 years through now. My wife is like 13 years on on HRT. It's transition is life, because life is change, and you will always keep discovering new stuff. There will always be more, and that's wonderful. Congratulations and welcome back.
To seek truth under male domination, why are we assuming that it is the female element in particular?
Sorry, just quickly, seeking truth under male domination.
One counterexample of male failure and male failure to seek truth that gets thrown back at me a lot is the Red Scare. Now, how can you say that women are the only people who ever do witch hunts? Think about McCarthyism. And without wanting to get too deep into the Joe McCarthy did nothing wrong rabbit hole, that is not the point that I'm making today. Let me make instead a different point, which is that I think that McCarthyism was actually in many ways quite masculine. Think about loyalty.
Okay, so this is doing a completely bizarre... I'm not just trying to analyze their like rhetorical techniques in this. And this is like the weakness of looking at like a liberal slop podcast. Catgirl Steph, thank you so much for gifting subs to Esme Evenstar and to Vodrella. I really appreciate that. I don't like just analyzing people's rhetorical tactics because it's very debate streamery, and it doesn't help us, seek truth. But what she's just done there was horrible. Like fucking spinning my head around, fucking truly disgusting. Women only women do witch hunts? Who said this? Citation needed. Is this a commonly believed thing? Who did the witch hunts? Like the actual literal ones where they burnt women at the stake. It was a patriarchal movement. McCarthy, it's, yes, from a patriarchal country, but it's about fucking communism. But yes, it's also, as she's saying right now, I guess, like a actually very masculine oriented thing. They are just assuming that they're assuming their audience is so bought into the idea that wokeness is a kind of witch hunt, because cancel culture is a kind of witch hunt, that they can just say things like, I'm not sure all witch hunts are done by women. Like, that's disgusting. That's such a disgusting, like, sneaky way to bring that in. I'm sorry for getting so wound up, but it just, like, that really, like, bothers me. Yeah.
Oaths. The whole...
Lorcan Nagel says, I saw Goody Sophie from Mars consorting with the devil by the lake. Thanks, Lorcan. That's really what I need now. Thank you so much for that.
Reason why university systems and schools and other institutions wanted to have loyalty oaths, which are sort of the banner phenomenon of McCarthyism, is because they said we simply cannot have an ongoing atmosphere of suspicion and rumor and sort of witch hunting. We need to have some clarity. So we will have a loyalty oath, and everybody who takes it will be fine, and everybody who doesn't take it that'll be a problem. But
they won't be fine.
They won't be fine.
They won't.
But
They won't participate in the argument. Then it will be
done.
Right.
Then it will be finished, and it will be all out in the open. And the criteria for deciding whether or not somebody is a communist will be known, and we will evaluate them.
I'm starting to think she's actually just not. How do I say this kindly? You know what? I'm not sure I can.
In kind of a straightforward, objective way. So that was, in some ways, a male witch hunt.
Right.
But it operated by masculine.
Are diversity
rules.
statements the same kind of thing? It's a loyalty oath about the aims of the institution. It's a masculine attempt to put an end to feminine gossiping in the universities.
Yeah, I think the thing that offends a lot of people about diversity statements, especially for new applicants to jobs, is that it's not a clear ticking the box. Are you gonna treat people fairly or not? It's show me how much you care about diversity. Prove to me that you are really on board with this wokeness.
By your defense of the communist loyalty oaths, if it were less of a discursive essay and more of a signing a statement of principles.
She's so, sorry, the way that she just shouted the other woman down and then, had nowhere really to go with her argument. She ended it by describing the thing that she doesn't like as, ugh, which, I think it was David Hume who said that, all arguments boil down to people just yaying and booing, and all other content just ultimately is, pointing towards that, just yay or boo for the thing that I like or don't like. She is so unwilling to seriously engage with this discussion that she just said the thing I don't like is kinda after just raising her voice to just bulldoze right through and completely ignore this other woman. I'm a bit troubled by how reasonable they're making this other woman, by the way, who is heavily religious, thinks the solution for all America's ills is to get everyone back in the church, is anti-abortion, is almost certainly anti-queer, but I haven't looked into it, and describes herself as a conservative, a woman whose basic point still ultimately, even if it's framed in kind ways, is arguing for women to get out of the workforce and be back in the home, be a baby maker and a housework doer. Thank you, Deinonychus Turbo Laser, for cheering 3 bits. I will try not to spend them all at once. I also think it's been a while. Crocodile. No, fuck. Deinonychus Turbo Laser. I can't remember if you've been in the streams recently, but it's nice to see you here today. Hello, welcome to the stream. Regarding witch hunts, there is something so incredibly dark in the entire comparison being made that, they're saying, that's all I had left. I'm so sorry. I wasn't meaning to be critical. I was just trying to joke around. I genuinely appreciate any and all, paying for the stream. It's great. there is something so incredibly dark and grim about like them talking about witch hunts and this being taken as read, and like they can just have this whole conversation presented with such like respectability and like such airs, when like Middle Earth Marxist says women who hate women debate why women suck and men are great. Yeah. Just leaving it like unchallenged, this idea that like wokeness is a witch hunt or whatever. Also, like the other woman's comparison to like between pledges to be respectful of other people and to act in inclusive and non like oppressive ways, and the loyalty oath against, like, in the McCarthy era, that was a valid comparison, and it was just for a different set of values. And Helen's response that like it's in some way different, it's like it's only because it's a different set of values that you don't agree with. This is what I mean, that it's just booing. I was around for the Economist slop stream. Before that, it'd been a while. Cool. But regarding the specifics of what they're saying, the witch hunt, it really bothers me, because it's just like, sorry, the purges in society of types of people are absolutely a feature of like society. Like, I don't think I'm going to say they're a specifically masculine feature of society, but they are something that has come up again and again, driven specifically by patriarchal politics. And the metaphor they are using is referring to like a femicide, like a mass femicide, a genocide of women, you could even say, is what the original witch hunts were. And it's just so like, and not to mention that like that was of course to implement like to implement Christian capitalism in Europe and lead into the modern world the wonderful modern world we have now because of it, to create a new level of oppression of women. Like, they're here talking as if like the woman's like natural place is in the household and in the home and as a baby maker and a family maker, debating like women being in the workforce at all and the feminization of the workforce. But it's like all of this treatment of it being natural is ignoring the very thing they are making a reference to, the violence that was put in by the patriarchy to drive women out of respected positions in the fucking first place. All of this is just so nightmarish. Like, it's so many levels of like cheap and dishonest and just kind of hideous, to be honest. I keep on wanting there to be something kind of interesting to engage with here, because I don't want to write off women who are like engaging deeply with politics and to some degree philosophy. But just, I mean, just like screwing up your face and saying blah at the things you don't like is not engaging deeply with politics and philosophy. We're gonna carry on.
Communist loyalty oaths, if it were less of a discursive essay and more of a signing a statement of principles, which some people could sign and you possibly could not, that would feel like more of a masculine policing of the bounds in which a rough and tumble of academia seeking truth within certain definitions could flourish. Is that right?
I think the existence of a woke university that wanted all of its faculty and prospective faculty to sign on to some kind of clear statement of principles, yeah, okay. And maybe it would be one that would be super DEI and I couldn't sign it. But I would be okay with that. What I would not be okay with is people intruding DEI statements into, for example, the accreditation of law schools. And to be a valid law school in the United States, you have to teach everyone DEI as part of their legal ethics training. I think accreditation is about, are you a valid law school or valid?
Sorry, so you have to teach everyone DEI. And to be clear here, we're trying to assume that she does not mean that you have to teach everyone at law school the law around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're assuming that you are not teaching them what the law is specifically, because that should obviously be covered by a law school. But she's saying that teaching people the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't mean to be a massive lib about this. Maybe I'm libbing out here. Here we go. Sophie finally libs out. But like, I find saying diversity, equity, and inclusion kind of important in this, because when these American conservatives use DEI as an adjective, like, you know, kind of easily interchangeable with woke, it's just it's not obviously it's not talking about what the actual policies are, which, you know, like they love to talk about, like hiring quotas, and obviously that's not how the law actually works. Like the requirements of people to advertise jobs equally to people and not like exclude candidates who are of like a particular minoritized group. But it's just like, just saying DEI turns it into this other kind of thing. It's like if you just took the time to say, being aware to the systems of oppression in the world, instead of woke every time that you were trying to describe it. Like, we have to stop being aware of the systems of oppression in the world. Being aware of the systems of oppression in the world is brainwashing our kids. This university has gone being aware of the systems of oppression in the world. I just like, it's just, you know, this is all very like liberal word games of me, but I just like, yeah, it bothers me. Yeah, what's wrong with, go on, Helen, what's wrong with teaching lawyers to treat people equally?
University. And so let's leave politics out of it altogether.
Right, but the temptation to not leave politics out of it altogether, again, it just seems to me it may manifest in some different ways in environments where you have more women in leadership positions versus more men, but there is still a similar impulse to police speech and debate. But I want to pose a question for Leah rather than just arguing with Helen. So the truth-seeking question, right? So you agree with Helen, institutions should be truth-seeking.
Yes.
Right. Especially in medicine, law, like the professions that have, I think, been most feminized in terms of the number of women entering into them. To what extent is truth-seeking in those professions or other places contingent on a certain degree of intensive competition within those institutions? And I think you can see the follow-up question, which is that the idea of care, dependency, I think you could say almost necessarily makes some institutions less hyper-competitive, right? The New York Times has incredibly generous, I'm not just saying this because my corporate overlords want me to, we have incredibly generous maternity and paternity leave. Mm-hmm. And when I confronted, after we had our most recent child, the incredibly generous paternity leave package, I was like, well, if I take all of this, I'm going to fail as an employee.
So a few things in chat now. Firstly, Morgana has said, this trans girl is now eating. Chat, round of applause for Morgana. We'd love to see it. We really, really love to see it. Just keep it up, babe. Absolutely, that's the way to go. Middle-earth Marxist says, ironically enough, they're trying to use word magic by turning woke into some sort of curse they cast on anything they don't like. Nothing witchy at all. It's pretty ironic. Deinonychus Turbolaser says, leave politics out of law? And yeah, right, I guess, yeah, she's boiling it down to, like, these are the politics of the people that I don't like. And it's just like, if we ask on a basic sort of ethical level, is it good for lawyers to believe in equality? Yes, obviously, right? But also, like, because the law itself has protections for minoritized people. But she has spent, I need to remind us all of this because we're now watching the second half, but she spent a lot of the first half just bringing up cases of sexual abuse to downplay how serious they were, as most of her arguments, or like side features of most of her arguments. So I don't know if she believes that it's necessary for there to be any kind of like legal protections for people, because it's all just woke, and that's a problem. I'm more and more siding with the commenter that said this is just like It's just overwhelming secondhand embarrassment watching this stuff. It's so fucking dire that they did this.
Right.
Oh, and before I carry on, let me show you all. Oh, will that work if I drag that across? No, because I'm in private browsing right now. So I'm going to move this one here, and I'm going to go to the window capture again. I just had an ask on Tumblr that I wanted to show you all because... Oh, where does it go? This one. Okay. Hi, Sophie. Saw you in my dream the other night. You talked about your tattoos and then helped me to decide what tattoo to get for myself. And we were just chilling and chatting and having a nice time. Hope this isn't too weird or parasocial or anything. And I just want to say that I really love your videos and appreciate your presence on my dash. You're lovely and it's always a joy to see you share your thoughts on different things. Wishing you all the best. I'm tagging this Sophie from the astral plane because this happens bizarrely all the time. Like all the time. People are telling me, like friends are telling me, like I get messages about this as well. I'm in so many people's dreams, and I think I might just have like I know what I believe in terms of what we should make serious decisions about the way the world works based on. But then there's also stuff that, like, you know, I know what stuff that I would use my platform to seriously advocate that our politics be built on. And then I can have some kooky beliefs to myself, and that's just for me. I think I might be, like, astrally charged. I think that, like, when I dream, I might have, like, a higher energy level. Because people tell me this all the fucking time. Anyway, I'm tagging that Sophie from the astral plane, and on my Tumblr you can see all the times that people have told me that I've been in their dreams. And there's, like... It just keeps happening. Okay, let's carry on with the podcast. And if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. And please do, because I'm doing work right now. And it's really nice for me when I get paid for doing my work, because I'm actually pretty broke. And it would be nice to have money to buy nice things. Okay. Subscribe, cheer, donate directly using Command Tip. That's !TIP. I'll put it in the chat here. And if you're watching the VOD, please consider going to my Patreon and supporting me over there. We're going back to the podcast. No, not yet, because it's on the wrong window. Change it back to this one, and go. Deinonychus Turbo Laser says, "Oh, thank goodness it's not just me." Fascinating. Jenny Azoth says, astrally delocalized cloud of Sophie. I mean, time works differently in dreams, right? Like, we can all agree on that. So, like, I can be in multiple places at once. But it all depends on the energy level of your, like, I guess, dream vibrations. Which, you know, I have pretty crazy dreams as well. Like, I have intense, like, psychodrama every night. Unless I'm just knocked the fuck out. Which I've heard that means that you have the dream anyway, but you don't remember it. So, you know. So I just do. Jenny Azoth says, Schrodinger's Sophie. No, because then I get killed when the decaying particle does the thing. Ro has tipped £2. Thank you so much. I've reached the level of fury with this podcast where I'm just repeating his words out loud in a derpy voice with a derpy face. Yeah, exactly. We've become Helen, just going blah. This is the thing. Like, this stuff is so, like, difficult to respect on any basic level because it's so disconnected from reality that it's reducing us all down to, like, the yaying and booing that we are all at core doing all the time. Zyrose has tipped £3. It says, money to have nice things. Sorry, it's not a lot. Mostly for tattoos. Thank you, Zyrose. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. And you don't have to apologize for it not being a lot. I appreciate any at all. Let's go.
In some way, I'm going to become less competitive as a newspaper columnist among other newspaper columnists if I take this amount of time off. Are there professions that you look at and you're like, honestly, you know, I don't think, you know, I wouldn't want this profession to be required to have this amount of maternity leave because it would cut into its competitive edge?
It's not competitiveness that I see as the main hindrance. Here's where I would tell someone not to work if they want a family, which I think is doing good work, but in a method that isn't compatible with family life and isn't plausibly going to become compatible. It's SpaceX, which I admire a lot, which iterates very quickly, and for the whole beginning of its company had such a tight runway that each individual rocket meant possibly the end of the company. There are some things you can take on where your responsibilities are so total that they don't leave you room to say yes to someone or something else. Monastic life is...
Musk is the world's richest man. Shut the fuck up.
It's also like this, but there are fewer massive explosions, hopefully. But I think those are rare. And I think there's a tendency for many employers to see what a company like SpaceX can ask and think, well, I'd kind of like that much of my employee's life too, without actually having a business model that depends on it without doing anything nearly as ambitious as they are.
Okay, but I want to push you on that point, right? So we started out, or I started out talking about visions for how conservatives engage with gender difference. And I think a lot of conservatives listening to your narrative might say, well, I don't think it is just SpaceX, right? I think there's a lot of zones in American life, from the tool factory and the car dealership all the way up to Elon Musk's landscape, right? Where there is a certain kind of ruthless competitiveness that is important to the truth seeking that is the work of capitalism, right? And that maybe there is some room for being more solicitous of female difference and dependency in the workforce. But if you go too far, you're just losing that edge. You're not just...
Chibi Gojira in chat saying, Ross Douthat, a famously good columnist, might lose his edge by taking the month off. Seriously, Ross, take the month off, please. We can do without this. B-Rat says, Starlink satellites burning up on re-entry and ships being launched constantly is a big part of the problem of the ozone layer possibly disintegrating again. Yep. Look, SpaceX is, because it is a huge part of American infrastructure in space, doing incredible stuff. Because Musk used his wealth to insert himself in there. It's been a very deliberate and calculated move by Musk, again, the world's richest man, to gain more power over people. And it should not be applauded because that should be being done as a public service. And ideally, an international public service funded by international bodies instead of it being American, and especially instead of it being a private company.
You can't sort of segment it off and say, if you work for Elon Musk, you don't get maternity leave, but everywhere else you do. There's a larger culture here that is endangered by sort of making the workplace bend more to dependence.
I think part of it is that
Sorry, I need to rewind because people in chat are saying something that I've clearly missed. That's the work of capitalism. Okay, this is insane.
Of ruthless competitiveness that is important to the truth-seeking that is the work of capitalism, right?
Truth-seeking is the work of capitalism because the market is a pure and perfect system which determines who is correct by letting players on an even playing field compete for power and capital. So the truth is found by who has the most money, would be the moral claim that Ross Douthat is making. I'm going to sit with that one for a second. Ross is claiming that capitalism seeks the truth. The only way you can believe that the work of capitalism is to seek the truth is because you believe you've swallowed hook, line, and sinker the capitalist notions that, like, the free market is free, first of all, that it works on some kind of meritocracy, really any kind of meritocracy, like any kind of benefits are highlighted by the victors in the market. Ro has just said in chat, gouging, stabbing, ripping, tearing. Yes, this stuff is crazy making to engage with, that's all. I completely agree. But if we imagine that's actually I'm just... Oh, crikey. If we imagine that's the claim, this guy has to seriously believe... Does he have to believe the free market has ever existed? Unclear. Does he have to believe that... He has to believe that the market can exist, the free market, this thing that will, like, create truth through competition. Natural selection, right? It's all natural selection. I guess he's religious, so he must believe that natural selection tends towards some kind of virtue in the world. There's some kind of, like, elegance to the system that is arcing towards truth, I guess. God, that's just... There's so much to that one completely bizarre and absurd claim. Okay, we're going to go back to it.
And that maybe there is some room for being more solicitous of female difference and dependency in the workforce. But if you go too far, you're just losing that edge. You're not just, you can't sort of segment it off and say, if you work for Elon Musk, you don't get maternity leave, but everywhere else you do. There's a larger culture here that is endangered by sort of making the workplace bend more to dependence.
I think part of it is that you, in any kind of work, in any kind of truth-seeking work, you have to be realistic about your materials that you work with. Like SpaceX, deeply rooted in truth about its materials, cares a lot about exactly what can this steel take, what will happen to this particular part of the heat shield. But I think many employers and workplaces are not interested in the reality of the materials of the human beings they work with. And there is something unjust about building a system that chews people up and then tosses them on the scrap heap, or chews up their fertile years, promising them egg freezing and ignoring the fact that that tends not to pan out. But by the time that happens, they won't be working there anymore, and it'll be their problem, not yours, right? So what does it mean as a steward of your employees? It means being realistic that people are fragile. They have other people who depend on them. They themselves can get...
I'm just kind of... This general thing about, like, women, or, like, feminization, meaning, like, losing your edge, is so basically misogynist, like, fundamentally misogynist. Like, any points that they're trying to make here, they still ultimately are coming back around to, like, to be feminine is to be kind, I guess, and to be forgiving, and to, like, take the time you need for stuff, to lose sight of competition, which is a masculine quality. It's like men have... We get this, right, chat? Like, please tell me if people are confused by this statement, but men work together brilliantly in that they have class solidarity, right? We get this? We understand what I mean by this? Like, men as a class oppressing women as a class is done through immense class solidarity between men. Men defending each other from accusations of abuse. Men making sure that women feel uncomfortable in spaces that they want to belong to them. Men structuring just the whole of society so that women are seen as a mysterious other, you know? They work together to do that. And, like, the idea that they compete with each other, yeah, maybe, right? Like, maybe. But, like, that's only made possible because they have subjugated women's reproductive labor to allow them to be in a space where they can engage in the kinds of things that they want to pursue. B-Rat says it's like the biggest cop union. Yes, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. We cannot overstate the... truly, we cannot overstate the relationship between, like, policing, fascist attitudes, the mindset of being a cop, and patriarchal domination and the oppression and violation and exploitation of women. Like, we cannot possibly overstate this. It's not to say that, like, a matriarchy could never have fascism, right? It's absolutely not to say that. but in the real world we do exist in, like the Judith Stagger piece that says like every rapist is a cop without a badge, every cop is a rapist with a badge. That's it. Like this is it. Like the class of people who believe in a like law and order and punishment to create justice and dominating other people through like this brutality, like they speak a language of punishment and domination, and it's the language they understand because it makes sense in their heads. The reason they think they can punish the rest of the world into behaving how they want is because that's how they feel. That's what makes sense to them, right? Ah, Christ. Yeah, the idea that like the competition is all lost here. Also, that competition is a virtue. That's another one as well. Like, they're definitely saying here competition is a virtue, and I don't think competition is a virtue. It's enormously inefficient, right? Like, it's so inefficient for, like, there to be 5 companies, 4 of which will go bankrupt, who are all working on the same prototype to try to create something that they all know people need and want, when they could just, like, one group could just do it. And if you're worried about, like, oh, well, we'll lose out on the other possibilities that they could iterate on or whatever, it's like those people could all also have, like, stable employment and not, like, live or die. And I mean live or die based on whether their product succeeds. Haley Snaley, welcome to the stream. Haley Snaley says, what is the current piece of slop being observed? We are watching Interesting Times with Ross Douthat. This is Helen. This is... Can you see my mouse? You can't even see my mouse. Oh, crikey. I was gesturing a whole bunch this entire time. I'm going to quickly change over to a display capture instead of a window capture so you can see my mouse. We are watching Interesting Times with Ross Douthat, Helen and Leah, I've forgotten their last names, 2 conservative feminists coming from respectively a position that women suck and they're stinky, and because everything got too feminine, that's why everything's shit now. And women are great, it's just their talents are in being a mummy and a maid, and so they should be back in the kitchen and the household and the bedroom. It's all a bit stinky in here, and everyone in the podcast hates women. And that really sucks. That really sucks really bad. I don't think people like this can see how their worldview creates someone like Andrew Tate. But it's very clear, I think, from the outside. Like, I think it's hey, Audrey Stardust, welcome to the stream. Lovely to see you. And no, you're not stinky. That's right. We here on the Liberal Slop stream believe that women smell good. That's a bold statement that the Liberal Slop stream is willing to make. We think that women do smell, but in a good way. The podcast sucks. We are going to carry on through it. The thing I was going to say about it was, I mean, Helen, like, there are more obvious links, right? Like, Helen, that's this woman again, has, in the first half of the podcast, spent a lot of time downplaying cases of sexual abuse. So she's already just, like, a defender of rape culture. But just, like, the disempowering of women by, and then we go to Leah's point, treating them as a fundamentally different kind of person to men, containing different, like, fundamental qualities or whatever, or different, like, abilities. This still enables this entire thing, and as I say, like, lays the groundwork for someone like Andrew Tate to exist, who, as I've been saying recently, like, that guy is a rapist, obviously, in that's, like, his whole deal, but, like, in the political sense, like, it's his ideology is he's a rapist. Like, he actively promotes treating women like shit and has built his entire worldview and world and empire and social network and everything on it. Prince Infidel, thank you so much for subscribing. You have subscribed for 38 months. That's really cool. You've said, hey, Sophie. Hey, fellow chat scum. Welcome to the stream. Congrats on having been chat scum for so long. Jenny Azoth says, stink fans in chat today. Yes, absolutely. Okay, here on the Liberal Slop stream, we believe that women stink, but it's a good stink. It's a stink we're happy about. It's a It's a one of those, you know? It's one of those. Um, Deinonychus Turbolaser says, I personally stink, but other women smell good. I will not override your bodily autonomy by telling you that you don't don't smell bad. You're entitled for that to be how you identify. Obviously, this is a woke stream. You can identify with any smells you want. Haley Snailey saying, women are not a smell monolith. This also is true. Now let's watch some stinky women. And Ross do that.
Sick, injured, pregnant, and a responsive workforce will have ways of responding in justice to that.
Helen, what do you make of Leah's vision? It seems like your argument, in effect, is that corporate America and American institutions are too solicitous of female vices. Is there a way that they could become less solicitous of those vices, but more solicitous of the female distinctives that Leah is championing?
No, I think this is one area where Leah and I probably really agree that employers need to be solicitous of the people who work for them and take care of them. But there's a big problem with doing that as things stand right now, and it is anti-discrimination law. A good employer, if you've got a protege that you can...
Million Peaches and Princess Beck Knight 666, welcome to the stream. Million Peaches says, stinky women / neg. Yes, exactly. And Princess Beck Knight says, I don't know, I think that stink / smell nice is a false dichotomy. Yes, I think so too. I actually, in everyday life, and some people in chat know this, just use the word stink in a very positive way. Yeah.
Care about, and she's a woman. A caring person is going to sit her down.
Middle Earth Marxist says, vices, like female vices, like equal pay, not being assaulted at work, all that anti-profit shit. Yeah, it's like... this whole thing, this like female vices, I would like not just for them to name, these are what I think are the female vices, but also explain what about being a woman. But then, you know, they'd have to start actually like unpicking what the social role of woman is versus what it like fundamentally is versus what defines it. There are anyway, this is all frankly above their pay grade because they're just not engaging intellectually and certainly not honestly with any of this.
And say, I think if you want to have kids, you should probably choose a career track that allows you to shift to part-time midway through so that you can have children, and not, you should avoid a career.
What about men who have kids?
Track that's kind of all or nothing, that's going to burn through and not allow for part-time work during your childbearing years. Right now, that conversation is illegal. I mean, it happens all the time because, of course, you'll naturally have that conversation with people that you care about because you want them to be happy. But if you talk to a female subordinate that way and have that conversation with her when you don't have the same conversation with men, hopefully she won't sue you. But if she decides to, you're in big trouble because that's a problem. So I think we should make it more possible for employers to...
Sorry about that, everyone. I've still got the display capture on. I opened up something because I wanted to paste something for later into Photoshop, and then I completely forgot I still have display capture instead of window capture. There it is, and we're back. Cool.
Have the kind of conversation that I just described. And the problem is that right now, it's the constraints on frank discussion that HR and these lawsuits have created make those kinds of really sensible conversations that you, Leah, probably want employers to have impossible.
This gets to a larger question that I have for both of you, which is that there is something about the post-industrial economy that, as far as I can tell, and this shows up in multiple societies, it doesn't just happen in the United States, right? It seems to produce a lot of jobs that women thrive in.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, Chibi Gojira, thank you so much for £100. I think slugging through this podcast has earned everyone a joke break. Yay! Okay, okay. We've now passed £350 on the dono goal, which means that I'm going to tell a 10-minute long joke. Okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to break right afterwards so that we can, so that I can have another hot drink. Definitely my voice will have worn down a little bit in doing this. Okay, I'll take off my headphones. I'm moving back a little bit. It's all of this is necessary, and you will understand why as we get into it. Okay. Okay. There are 3 guys in the desert, and they're truly trapped there, right? They've been wandering for days. They already know that they're doomed without some kind of intervention. They didn't know each other before. I'm gonna need to get into how they wound up in the desert together, but they're not people who like have a pre-established friendship, but they're walking together now. And suddenly they see a yurt. People know what a yurt is, right? Like a big tent. They see a big tent in the desert, and they go in. And funnily enough, there is a lamp. You see where this is going. Between them, they all decide, yeah, let's do it. Let's rub the lamp. Fine. We're in here to hide from the heat of the desert anyway. No one else is even visible across the horizon, so I guess this yurt is just ours. We'll chill out. We may as well rub the lamp. And sure enough, there is a genie. The genie says, I'm the genie of the lamp, and I'm here to grant you each 3 wishes. So the guys are like, will we get 1 wish each? Or, and the genie's like, no. It's a 3 wishes per person policy. Like this is how the wishes work, right? So they need to think carefully about this. They obviously ask the usual questions about how wishes work and what the rules are, and you know, you're not going to like bring people back from the dead. You can't wish for more wishes. And obviously getting out of the desert is a priority. So the first guy, he goes, well, okay, I've thought about it a little bit, and I guess as the first wisher, with my first wish, I'm going to wish to have a phone with full signal, and so I can call for help to get us out of the desert. And the genie says, absolutely, your wish is my command. And he looks at his phone, and suddenly, yes, he has 5 bars, and he can call for help, and he does, and there is help on the way to their location right now. Hooray, they're all saved. And the second guy says, okay, cool, thanks for that, that's nice. But it actually got me thinking a little bit. That's a cool thing to have, right? Is like a phone that like we can like, I can get out of any kind of sticky situation. So I kind of like that as well. And the genie doesn't question it. That's not his place to question. So the genie's about to say your wish is my command, but the second guy goes, but I'd like my phone to never be out of signal ever. And while I'm at it, like never be out of battery either. And also be like, just like always in style, like the best phone. I just want to have like the best possible phone. The genie says, sure, your wish is my command. And the guy looks at his phone, and he also has 5 bars. But also, he has a full battery, and it's a really nice phone. And the third guy says, I want my right arm to be rotating clockwise at all times. And the genie says, your wish is my command. And the guy's arm starts rotating clockwise and doesn't stop. And now his arm is just rotating clockwise at all times. And so, the first guy, he says, okay, cool, we've got 1 round of wishes, so I guess this is my second wish. You know what? I don't have a great life. I don't have an enormous like thing to get back to. So I suppose I'd like to be rich, right? Like, it wouldn't suck to be rich. I don't know if I can cure all the world's ills, but I could make myself comfortable. And when we get out of this desert, I'd like to have a nicer life than I left. So make me rich, right? Make it so that I will be comfortable the rest of my life. And the genie says, "Your wish is my command." And the guy looks at his phone again and he checks his banking app, and look, he has millions of dollars, right? He has become rich. He is going to be comfortable the rest of his life. And the second guy goes, "Yeah, okay, that's cool. I fuck with that. I definitely fuck with that. But check this out, genie. I want to be the richest, like impossibly rich, like more money than I could ever need in 10 lifetimes, and all the money that I have is well invested, and it will all pay wonderful dividends, and I'm going to get even richer from the obscenely amount of rich that I already am." And the genie goes, "Okay, your wish is my command." And this guy looks at his phone, and his phone is blowing up with notifications from a stockbroker, and he looks at his banking app, and it's like trillions of dollars, and he sees that he's going to be obscenely rich for the rest of his days and leave wealth that will shape his generations of his family from now on, right? He is stupid rich. And the third guy says, "I'd like my left arm to be rotating counterclockwise at all times." And the sorry. And the genie says, "Your wish is my command." And sure enough, and I gotta think about this one. Sure enough, the guy's arm starts rotating, and now his right arm is rotating clockwise, and his left arm is rotating counterclockwise at all times. And then, okay, I'm gonna move that because I'm definitely gonna hit that again. Okay, and so, the genie turns back to the first guy. So the first guy goes, "Yeah, I guess everything's sorted, right? We're going to be rescued, I'm going to be rich. But there's one thing missing, isn't there, right? And that's love. I don't have love. And if I don't have love, I could be obscenely wealthy. I could never need money for the rest of my life and have all of my money well invested, and it would all pay excellent dividends, and I still would have nothing, if you think about it. I need love in my life. I would like very much, in fact, I wish, to be in love with a wonderful, kind, smart, funny, beautiful woman who loves me very much, and to have already had a relationship that's been going on for many years, and for that to be the life that I have been living, so that when I go home, I return to her." And the genie says, "Your wish is my command." And the guy checks his phone, and sure enough, the background of his phone has changed to a picture of him and his high school sweetheart, who he hasn't seen in years. But now he suddenly remembers that that's not how it went. How it actually went was they got together and they stayed together, and there were challenges, but they made it work because they love each other so much, and their love is based in a mutual respect and a confidence in their ability to communicate, to rupture and repair, to get through anything together. And she's waiting for him when he gets home. In fact, he has texts from her saying, "Babe, where are you? I haven't heard from you. I know you were on your trip to the desert." I'm concerned. So the second guy goes, "Yeah, that's cool or whatever, I suppose, but I'd like if every woman in the world found me fucking irresistible. Like, they just couldn't possibly keep their hands off me. Like, women just are drawn to me like a moth to a sexual flame." And the genie goes, "Your wish is my command." And this guy looks at his phone, and now his phone is not just blowing up with notifications from his various, very successful, high-powered stockbrokers, but also the notifications on every dating app and from the many women who he's known in his life who are suddenly thinking about him and really, really want to message him. And so the third guy goes, I would like... The third guy goes, I would like for my head to be rotating clockwise at all times. And the genie says, it's not, you have one it's up to you. Your wish is my command. And sure enough, the guy's head starts spinning clockwise at all times, and it doesn't stop. Whew. So, they're all rescued. They're safe. They make it out of the desert. Because, of course, you remember that the first guy phoned for help. And they agree to meet back there in 5 years' time and see how everything is going, see how the wishes work out for them, and if nothing else, just remember that, they went through this unbelievable thing together. And so they go their separate ways, and they live their lives. And they wonder sometimes if, did all that even happen? That's crazy. There's no way that all even happened. But they come back, nonetheless, 5 years to the day, to the same airport that they were heli evac lifted to, out of the desert. And the first guy, he's the first to arrive. He's the first guy, after all. The first guy arrives, and he's waiting around at the bar, and he's just starting to think, no, this is stupid, none of this happened. I'm really sure, none of this actually happened, and... Sorry, chat. I'm nearly there, okay. The first guy is thinking, oh no, none of this ever even happened, I've just hallucinated this entire event. And then, just as he's beginning to despair, the second guy walks in. So the first guy's like, oh my god, it's you. I was starting to think it didn't even happen. We went to the desert, right? And the second guy's like, yeah, man, it was crazy, right? We went to the desert, we made some wishes, some of us, better wishes than other people, I think. But, we made wishes together and changed the course of our lives. And the first guy's like, well, tell me how have you been? And the second guy's like, listen. You made all your wishes first. You were here first. Sophie got the order of the joke wrong, so you should tell me first. He actually says that. It's very confusing. And so the first guy's like, well, yeah, things have been pretty cool, I guess. My life is nice. I'm rich, obviously. I have kids now. I'm starting to plan for their future, putting some money away for college, and I started a business. It's actually going really well. I love my job. I'm following a passion, and my wife is wonderful. She's the love of my life. What else can I say? She makes every day magical. She fills my waking hours with sunshine and my nights with safety and my heart with honey every day, and I love her so much. And I don't mind telling you, she's also pretty fucking good in bed. Anyway, none of that's what I came here to find out about. It's you. How's your life been? What's going on with you? And the second guy goes, yeah, I'm insanely rich. I'm insanely rich. I've actually gotten 100 times richer since the desert. You might have heard about some stuff on the news, and he talks about some famous parties and big events that he's been at, some geopolitical events he's been involved in, being the world's richest man. He says yeah, things are pretty fucking sick for me. Got no complaints, to be honest. Women love me. I don't mind telling you that your wife's really good in bed as well. But hey, look, I'm so confused. I'm glad I know that you're real and this really happened between us. But whatever happened to that third guy? And just then, the third guy walks in. And he goes, guys, I think I might have fucked up. And that's your 10-minute joke. I know, I'm the one who finds this the funniest of literally anyone. Alright, let's, we're gonna have a little break. I'm gonna make myself some more tea. So let's turn back on the jazz. Here we go. Okay, and who are we gonna leave on the intermission? I think it's gonna be... Yeah, it's gonna be RFK. Alright, I see you all in 5 minutes. I'm gonna make some tea. And you all should do the same if you want. Hey chat, I'm back. Let's do it. I hope everyone enjoyed my joke, and I hope that it inspires people to tip even more. Because I have a 10-minute joke per 350 pounds, at least for one more. I have at least one more. Although I probably need to rehearse it, so I'm actively inviting tips, but if it goes to 700, if it miraculously got to 700 tonight, I would be ill prepared. I hope everyone liked that. We're gonna watch more of the podcast now. Unfortunately, that's the way of things. Silly haha fun time is over, and we're going to now return to the serious business of seeking the truth. I hate these people.
It produces fewer jobs that maybe, let's say, fulfill the kind of warrior protector mode, right? And these are crude stereotypes, but I think we can look around the economic landscape and see them vindicated to some extent. And I'm just a little bit skeptical, therefore, that, if you stripped away certain aspects of anti-discrimination law, right? Or if you can look at Europe. Europe offers lots and lots of maternity benefits and all of these things, right? And still in Europe, you have, lots and lots of women choosing career over family, having fewer kids and so on. Isn't there something about this landscape that is just sort of a dynamic interaction between the economy we have and the choices people make? And it's not a structural conspiracy. It's just sort of the world of the 21st century wants women in certain jobs.
I agree that the economy has fewer, though not no, places for, kind of founders with brio. And a lot of places for people to work a comfortable job, just in the way that consolidation works. But I think it's a mistake also to look at work as the primary space to express the warrior spirit. I think everyone, whether they have family or not, should not think about bringing their whole self to work or being fully fulfilled at work. If you are a young man who has a boring entry-level job where you fill out forms, there's probably a ceiling on how exciting that's going to get for you. You should...
This warrior spirit stuff is winding me up. It's like... it's obviously guff, but it's just so specifically the kind of guff for non-Brits, or congratulations to non-Brits. But just it believes in it's an appeal to an idea that human beings are nothing more than base animal instincts, and it's we're quite clearly more than base animal instincts. And also if you need to have and use and deploy the warrior spirit, if it's absolutely essential or you'll go crazy, that's what sports are for. You can my brother does jiu-jitsu, right? There are venues where you can just literally go fight another guy if you're a man and you think you will simply perish without doing some warrior stuff or whatever. The goal of all of mankind becoming feminized according to their definition, but let's say peaceable and equitable and calm and working together for the common good, doesn't mean that in that Simpsons episode fucking aliens are gonna come by and just be able to oppress us with a single gun or whatever. That's not real. That's just not real. Human beings are strongest working together, and 90% of labor in the American military is not people shooting guns at the enemy. It is cooking and cleaning and administrative work and logistics and tidying, and it just goes on and on, the reproductive labor to prop up people doing what they deem to be the only important part of an enormous collaborative effort. It's quite gross. It's just quite gross. And all of this, and we all know this, obviously, chat, but I'm just hoping that we get to anything besides evolutionary biology or evolutionary psychology and similar reactionary, quite fashy grifts in the next what is it? 20 minutes left of the podcast? 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes left, everyone. Don't worry. Chibi Gojira saying, checks wallet to see if I can afford to take another 10 minutes not listening to the podcast. Rose says it's you didn't get the long joke I told. He's starting to suspect that it might have been the wrong way to use his wishes. Princess Beck Knight says, gagging at the warrior spirit. Yeah, it's just so Million Peaches saying, please don't express your warrior spirit in the office. Yeah, I don't think HR, even under a masculine system, is going to be like super happy with someone using, I was just deploying my warrior spirit as a defense to whatever the fuck that would actually entail when the other employees say, hey, you can't do that. Please stop. All right. Let's, unfortunately, carry on. I'm also just going to quickly get this as a screenshot of I feel like this is a really good still of them. Cool. All right, let's do it.
Do something interesting in your community, like in the same way an Eagle Scout would, but now you've got to do it yourself. Clean up an entire park, construct an amphitheater for the local high school. I think we make a mistake in seeing the workplace as the primary space we work out our cultural foibles versus you're free to do good things in the rest of your life. And in fact, you're freer to take ownership of a project that can fail and take risk on outside the workplace, especially as a young person.
But don't you agree that to some degree, you're suggesting that the workplace is not fitted for women in certain profound ways. But women, in Western culture have a myriad of choices, right, before them relative to the constraints imposed on both sexes in the past. And they are choosing in large numbers this ill-fitting, from your perspective, choice. Like, yes, of course, absolutely. You can have fulfillment and validation outside the workforce. Nonetheless, it is the case that lots and lots of women graduate college every year and enter willingly into the system and the structure that you're arguing is hostile to their nature and biology to some degree, not completely, right?
What I was going to say is, I think it's hostile to yours too, Ross, because you're a human being who will one day die. And what I claim is, at the most basic, is that when we start our idea of the human person as
Middle-earth Marxist says, the constant leaps, it's so bad. It's such a nightmare, honestly. Like, I don't even know if I have much to say about this at this point, but just like, here I'll say a small thing, actually. Maybe we go back and listen to it. Unfortunately, it does mean listening to more of Ross talking.
Suggesting that the workplace is not fitted for women in certain profound ways. But women, in Western culture have a myriad of choices, right, before them relative to the constraints imposed on both sexes in the past. And
okay, that's it, right? Women in Western culture have a myriad of choices compared to constraints imposed on them in the past. A seemingly innocuous statement that is, on the face of it, true. Women in Western culture, if you are happy to define what places and cultures that refers to, have a myriad of choices that they didn't used to have at some point in the past. I'm not going to bring up the witch hunts again. I'm not going to do it. But the sentence leads in as talking about the West and ends out talking about the past, right? Telling us that the West is the most in the future of any place, right? Like it's leading in terms of feminism and choices and agency for women. And it just subtly positions everywhere except the West as being the past and being reactionary and backwards and misogynist. When the reality is that the West is simply already leagues behind some other places in terms of progressive gender policy. And like, in terms of the fucking Cold War, like the Soviets and China and many other places that they brought up McCarthyism earlier in this. Like, these are all like fervent anti-communists. Like, these places had more women in the workforce far sooner, and women had far more choices. Like, the Soviet Union was the first. It's, you know, there are technicalities to this, but the Soviet Union was the first country, the first state to decriminalize abortion, right? Anyway.
They are choosing in large numbers this ill-fit in bio
human being who will one day die. And what I claim is, at the most basic, is that when we start our idea of the human person as someone who's autonomous, who's free to do things, who's unconstrained by other people's needs, women get caught first
Right.
as being people, not autonomous individuals. Men get caught later.
Right. But it hits women first and hardest.
Yes. And I think you see the cost not in women not succeeding in the workplace, but in the continual delay and decrease in number of marriages and pushing back of childbearing.
Right.
At a time when people say they want more children than they're having and are missing out.
But women do also, you can see this in polling, there is a shift in priorities where women, especially in polls in the last 20 years, are more likely to prioritize work and less likely to prioritize family, right? So again, they are sort of accepting and embracing this structure that you are arguing is ill-fitted for them. Where is that impulse coming from?
Yeah, where is my respect for revealed preferences,
yes.
Right? Yeah. I think part of the issue is we have a lot more scripts for how to succeed at work than how to succeed at family life and forming marriages. And we see people forming marriages later with fewer kids because they have fewer on-ramps, and the on-ramps they have are bad, right? The prevalence of pornography, the increase in online dating with the endless swiping and consumerism is bad. So you can say, well, look.
Okay, I'm glad we're getting a bit more time of listening to Leah talk so that she can expose what a fucking dumbass she is, because, like, having heard Helen so much and her being so egregiously, like, just woman-hating, my worry was that people were going to come away from this thinking that Leah is, like, very reasonable. And it's because her analysis sounds quite close to what our analysis would be, right? Which is that the failure of liberal feminism has to do with the failure of liberal capitalism. That the alienation of women as workers leads to the phenomenon of the second shift, women doing a shift at work and then coming home and having to do an entire second shift of work, reproductive labor at the household, and therefore women overall are just more tired and more exploited. And what we need is a radical and communist feminism if women are to become really meaningfully liberated. And furthermore, for like gender equality to be more widespread, which, you know, ties in very closely to trans liberation, because gender essentialism and the idea that biology is destiny is a undergirding load bearing, there you go, structure. And I know about bearing loads. A load bearing structure to patriarchal misogynist fascism, right? Gender essentialism and the idea that biology is destiny. That's how it relates to trans liberation. But the problem here is liberal capitalism, and we might agree that it's not necessarily better for many women that they are being alienated and exploited as workers, as well as being exploited as reproductive servants. But then firstly, she's saying this is because women are meant to be like that. Secondly, she's saying that she's not imagining any, obviously, alternative that's socialist. Thirdly, she's saying that everyone is going to wind up completely alienated and alone because of the problems of modern society. And then she starts to identify what the problems of modern society are, and they are too much pornography. You see, it's the sex workers' fault. And online dating, yes, you see, it's that people are on an app. That's the problem with the dating, is that they're on an app. That isn't a symptom of them already being alienated and not having community where they might meet people who they want to date organically. Million Peaches says, but instead her point is, the women, they can't stop gooning. They don't even want to have kids anymore. That's my issue. I mean, I do want to have kids, but Chibi Gojira says, food. You need to be able to buy food. Yes, exactly. Yeah. This thing that Leah just said about like more women are prioritizing work. It's just like, yeah, of course they're prioritizing work when like your career being successful is the way that you are seen as the most of a valid human being, like having succeeded at being a person at all under capitalism. And once again, the problem is that liberal feminism has brought women into the workplace of liberal capitalism, and especially in the modern day, the workplace of liberal capitalism is one where people have no fucking rights whatsoever, and it's a terrible time. And at the same time as all of this, there's been a conservative pushback, and especially among men, but also apparently women like this, to try to stop men from becoming more feminist and treating women in better ways, and maybe even them being the ones who stay at home and raise the kids, or co-parenting, or any other equitable division of labor that does not treat women like they are naturally supposed to be broodmares. Fuck's sake. It's just so frustrating, and yeah, like again and again, it just is. Leah will appear more reasonable to people because she is analyzing the problem, which is liberal capitalism. She's got it ass backwards. She thinks that feminism is the problem that she's analyzing, but she has something approaching a reasonable description of what's going on. Meanwhile, Helen just hates women. like maybe Leah hates women more subtly, you could argue, but Leah just hates women.
Look at people's revealed preferences. I put an endless carousel of pornography and profiles in front of them, and I put a relatively straightforward work path, and they're picking the work path. Do you respect that? And my answer is, well, let's try it again, but without those things on the table.
Helen, tell me about what happens in a world where you get the changes that you want.
Oh.
Yes, such a world, right? But just specifically in terms of how women enter the workforce and how the workforce changes as a result. Your argument in the piece is basically that all of the downsides of feminization that you describe can be ameliorated not by discriminating against women or forcing them out of the workforce, but just by leveling the balance and saying, we are not going to have anti-discrimination law enforced in this particular way that you think is more hostile to masculine vices than to female ones.
I am uncertain how things will shake out if we take all of the thumbs off of the scale. That is, if we get rid of all of the things that are structurally biased towards women in the workplace right now.
All of the things that are structurally biased towards women in the workplace right now. God, that's a grim one. At this point in the pod, I'm not really responding to things that Helen says because she's just disgusting. Like, she's actually genuinely just fucking gross.
I think some forms of feminization are here to stay. I think the female advantage on university campuses, women earning more BAs than men, it's been that way for a few decades now. That is probably going to continue to be the case. In fact, as I understand it, it is men who benefit from affirmative action in university admissions because campuses don't want to have too few men. But in other places, do I think that corporate America will be as feminized if we take the thumbs off the scale? I predict not. I predict that the field of law will probably not be as feminized. Yeah, already, even today, I think 40% of women who earn JDs are either working part-time or out of the workforce 15 years after they get their degrees. So there are lots and lots of forces of gravity pulling against feminization. Although, to be clear, the particular, we should always be clear-sighted about the problem that we're trying to solve. And in this case, the particular problem that I'm worried about is wokeness. Because the reason why I think the great feminization thesis is important to talk about is because I see a lot of people walking around right now thinking that wokeness is...
She calls it the great feminization thesis. The great feminization thesis. Come read my book. I'm going to teach you my thesis. It's called the great feminization thesis. It's so bad. Princess Beck Knight 666 says Helen has the average Tumblrite's conception of gender relations. It's so bad. It's so dire. Honestly. The great feminizing. The great feminization. So fucking stupid.
Over. They say the vibe shift is here. We don't need to worry about it anymore. But I'm saying that if it's the result of structural forces and demographic feminization, then we cannot be so complacent because wokeness is here to stay, if that's the case.
The one thing I really couldn't get purchase on from your essay is I got a very clear sense of masculine vice and masculine virtue. That masculine virtue is about risk-taking, about, embracing chances, brotherhood, fighting, making up, a comfort with turbulence, right? And masculine vices are about vulgarity, condescension towards women.
Men are not comfortable with turbulence. Have you met a man?
In some sense, though. And female vices are about gossiping, backbiting, irrationality, ostracism. I never got a sense of whether there were female virtues at all from your piece. Genuinely. And that's why I'm asking. I got a sense of balance for the men, but not for the women.
I saw that you made that criticism elsewhere.
It's a question. It's only a criticism depending on your answer.
If you want to know what I like about women,
that's not my question.
You can ask me. In fact, I invite you to commission from me an entire essay on the subject, what I like about women. My freelance rates are very reasonable.
What do you like about women, Helen?
Well, just to finish that particular thought before I answer that question, it's a little bit feminine, honestly, to focus on my likes and dislikes.
I'm not asking about your likes or dislikes.
I don't care about myself.
I'm
not
not
asking about the world, and I.
This is such a nightmare. I'm gonna let it play on for a little bit more before I comment on it completely. But this is such a nightmare. They have just said that the female vices, they agree on this. Everyone in this room has nodded along with this idea and said they agree on this. The female vices are gossiping and backbiting and ostracization. What are you fucking talking about? What the fuck are you actually talking about? You are hallucinating.
I am telling you that when I look at the world, I do not see any institutions that are currently suffering from an excess or an insufficient feminization.
Helen, I don't care about your likes and dislikes because that's not what I found compelling about your portrait of risk, which we both value as a genuine virtue, not a matter of preference like chocolate or vanilla. Do you think there are objective virtues for women in the same way you think there are objective primatology-based vices for women?
It seemed to me, just as a reader of the essay, I felt like I was actually clear on what Helen thought female virtues were. I was less sure how those virtues manifest themselves in public institutions and the professions. So it seemed to me that Helen, this is a point of agreement between the two of you, that women, for biological reasons, are oriented towards forms of care and love and sort of communitarian spirit that men are maybe not as good at.
I'm not feeling oriented towards care and love right now looking at this fucking dickhead.
I was interested in, well, what do those female virtues bring to a newspaper or a corporation, right? Or are they virtues that, and again, this would be the trad, right? A trad view would be, women have virtues and they're best exercised in the home.
To say a word to Leah first, you've written several books, and I'm sure you've read reviews of those books. Hopefully, as fellow authors, we can agree that it is unfair when book reviewers criticize you for not writing the book they would have written. So it's possible that I didn't write the essay you would have written.
I just want to know
and it was missing
now.
information that was curious to you, but I didn't think that was the assignment, and I think you should take the essay.
Hey, I really need to be clear here that I'm not like trying to react to like a woman specifically being like aggressive as being a unique kind of problem or whatever. But Helen is just such a dick. Like this whole conversation, she is just like bullying and mean and uninterested in seriously engaging in the conversation.
On its own terms.
I'm asking you as a thinker I respect, about what virtues you see in women.
They were apparently clear to Ross, because I think the answer he just gave about care was pretty close to the mark.
Well, then let me take the moderator's prerogative and say, again, repeat my question. Because I will elaborate it on it further, and then you can answer. It seems to me we can take for granted that many, many workplaces in the future will be mixed between men and women. That this is sort of a fundamental feature of 21st century life that is not going away. If you don't want those workplaces and those institutions dominated by female vices, what is the positive sum interaction between male virtues and female virtues that you would like to see at the Supreme Court or the New York Times or anywhere else?
I think that if you had asked me 10 years ago to guess what the effects of the feminization of the legal field would be, I probably would have given the same answer that a feminist would have given, the same answer you can find in Dahlia Lithwick's book about the feminization of the law, that it's going to be more accommodating of gray areas, it's going to be less doctrinaire, less hewing to the letters on the page, and more looking at more attentive to context. And I think if you had asked me to guess how that would play out, I would have said, you know what, that's maybe not necessarily such a terrible thing. Maybe we should be more oriented towards rehabilitation rather than punishment. Maybe the feminization of the law is not entirely without benefits. And I think it's possible that that is accurate, that is a reflection of how the feminization of law has played out in practice. The reason why I am turning on a big red siren when it comes to the feminization of the law is that all of those things that sounded so nice in theory or in the abstract, in practice look like the Title IX kangaroo courts for sexual assault on college campuses. If that is what...
Jesus fucking Christ. No, I think we're out. I think we're actually out, chat. I think we're actually out. Like, sorry, like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is really where she takes it. After all this time explaining her point, it just comes back again and again to this shit. Okay, look. Chat, listen. Is the way that society has been moving through, like, processes towards justice around sexual abuse, sexual violence, perfect? No. Is it better than what there was before Me Too happened? Yes, categorically. Like, calling them kangaroo courts it would be focusing so myopically on like the failures of an overall movement towards something so obviously better. Okay. We're gonna chat about the podcast a little bit, then we're gonna just make some animal noises in chat to wrap up the stream, and then we're done. If you've been enjoying the stream, if you appreciate my commentary, if you appreciate me doing this work, please consider paying me. You can subscribe or share or donate directly using Command Tip. And if you're watching the VOD or otherwise, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Sophie from Mars, and subscribe there. There won't be loads of new work at the moment because I'm taking things slow because of my well-being. But Vox and Socks says, as disrespectfully as possible, fuck Helen. Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Okay. Helen is extremely awful. She is dysregulating to watch. She just hates women so much. The thing that's been lingering with me the whole time, and I keep on saying it, is that I am quite worried that Leah will be made to look reasonable to people by contrast, right? Like Helen is there to there's a twofold thing going on when you define sides of a debate, where the reasonable looking side is the side that most people will probably go for, because the radical side is so extreme, and in this case fucking repulsive. At the same time, the reasonable side of that debate being present gives credence and respectability, legitimacy, this is what I've been reaching for, to the radical side of the debate. It describes a space between this position and this position and says that these are a range of acceptable positions in this conversation, and the conversation is about how liberal feminism ruined the workplace, although that's not what they called it to begin with, is it? And so in all of this, like, the New York Times, and we already knew this, is a fash rag. Like, really just disgusting, pro-genocide, not explicitly pro-Trump, but manufacturing consent for every horror of, like, Trump's regime, the ICE raids, the kidnappings, the border violence, the exploding fishermen in the Caribbean, the treatment of trans people. The New York Times is backing this shit all the way. To see them come out now like this, I feel like during my hiatus from streaming and from the liberal slop stream, I feel like we have seen some people, and arguably some publications, but mostly people like Ezra Klein, right? That makes me want to bring up the intermission screen. I'll start on the intermission screen with Ezra Klein saying he doesn't know what his role is anymore next time. But this moment was so significant to me, and I don't know if it's come across fully for chat, because it's really significant to me, Ezra Klein saying he doesn't know what his role is anymore, because there is serious regret and a feeling of loss among people who earnestly thought that their politics was about being kind and empathetic. Like, there is some sense that, like, they've really fucked things up by having the kind of technocratic, wonkish, centrist, realist politics that they've been trying to have. And there are other publications like the New York Times that in the last 2 years has become so much more nakedly fascist, because once the trap has swung shut, like, yeah, some of the people who thought they were opposed to it but were actually helping it happen will go, "Doi, oh, what have I done?" And then still change nothing. And some of them will go, "Great, now I can admit what I am." Okay, let's see, commentary in chats. Princess Becknight says, "Didn't think she could be worse." Wow. Yeah. Million Peaches says, "She hates women so much, it's astonishing." Yep. Prince Infidel says, "I hate this woman." Prince Infidel says, "I wish I hated her as much as she hates all women." Your wish is my command. Vox and Sock says, "As disrespectfully as possible, fuck Helen." Chibi Gojira says, "Leah has decent understanding of the problem. Helen just hates women." No, this is what I'm saying. I don't think Leah does have a decent understanding of the problem. I think she looks like she does standing next to Leah, and I think standing next to anyone in real life I'd call a feminist. like people who've been in, like, feminist direct action groups I know Next to them, Leah would probably carry on being able to look very reasonable, and I hope that the last 10 years have taught us something about fascists' ability to look reasonable and nice. But she'd probably be able to carry on looking very reasonable, but she would talk like an insane reactionary, and everyone would be like, oh, you're an insane reactionary. It is only in this room next to Goblin Man, Ross Douthat, and Helen that she looks like she has a decent understanding of the problem, and that's a problem. Like that is the consent manufacturing happening here in this article podcast. Anyway, yeah, I think that's the stream for this week. Chibi Gojira is saying, Leah sees the problem, but her answers are terrible. I think that Leah sees something a bit like what the problem is. A bit like it. Because, like, I'm not trying to be antagonistic with you, to be clear. I just see this differently. Leah, yes, she has bad answers, but her analysis only rhymes with the truth, right? Like, it's still part of her analysis that she thinks it's feminism that got us to this place, and feminism succeeding and being, feminism succeeding and getting to do whatever it wanted that got us to this place, and that falling into female vices is the problem. And, after all, she said she really respects Helen as a writer. She thinks that feminism got there. She believes in feminine vices in this term. She has respect for Helen's worldview. Also, part of her analysis of all of this is the same, like, manipulative definition wobble around, like, what woke is and what, like, like, I've said so many times in this stream, like, the problem here to do with alienation of women is that liberal feminism brings women into liberal capitalism, not that it's feminist. The problem is that it's not feminist enough, right? Because to be feminist enough, you ultimately have to embrace socialism. You have to embrace people's ultimate freedom in not having to be a wage slave. So I think her analysis is wrong as well. I think her answers are wrong, her analysis is wrong, and then somewhere in the middle there's a bit of analysis that is like, yes, like, people are quite unhappy with this situation, right? Princess Becknight 666 Princess Becknight 666 says she sees the problem in the way that at the heart of fascism is a kernel of real grievance. Yeah, I mean, this is when I think I said a bit of this last stream, just like that that fascists are often seeing some of the same stuff, and they just have completely shit morals. Like, they actually don't misunderstand stuff, but rather get some of the stuff that liberals fall for and pretend is not there and whatever and make invisible. Fascists see it, and their hearts are full of hate, I guess. Materialists with bad intentions. Vox and Socks says, the assumption that feminism is some kind of upset of the natural order is really disgusting. These people should never be taken seriously. It's ultimately a death cult. Yeah, so let's talk about, like, where does this all get us now? Because I think there was a question up here. Yeah, Prince Infidel asked kind of rhetorically, I don't fully understand what they get out of this. Well, they're reactionaries, right? Like, they are trying to make a more fascist, more reactionary, more misogynist world, and they may not realize they are, right? Marx's definition of ideology again, sie wissen das nicht, aber sie tun es. They don't know what it is, but they are doing it. People at the New York Times might be okay with this podcast and consider themselves feminist because they can just disavow that it's like the actions of the New York Times or the actions of Ross Douthat or the actions of Ross and these two women and not their actions, so them working for the New York Times doesn't blah blah blah. But ultimately, like, the social entity of the New York Times carves out a space in culture for reactionary politics of all sorts, right? They're also, as I've been saying, extremely pro-genocide, extremely anti-trans, and the amount of time that they've dedicated, speaking of the thing we were looking at earlier with Ross Douthat, the amount of time they've dedicated to like shitting on the electoral left, is also telling. Okay, chat, we're all going to make our favorite animal noises now, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. If you've been enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. We've got a couple more minutes to donate directly using Command Tip. This is your chance. VOD watchers, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to your comments on all of this, and please go to patreon.com/Sophie from Mars and support me there, because it's my main source of income. We got lots of meows, and we got some barks in the chat. We got a little caw like a crow. I love that. General cat noises. We got a lot of cats in the chat today. I really appreciate that. It's sometimes a little bit, I'm a known puppy enjoyer. A known puppy enjoyer. But I sometimes feel a little bit like it's sad that so many, that Dog Girl has overtaken so much, and I'm glad there are a bunch of meowing going on in the chat today. Haley Snaily says munch munch, snail eating a lettuce. Beanie Gaby, hello, says kookaburra noises. And also, to be clear, puppies and dogs extremely welcome in the chat. I'm just happy to be welcome, to have so many feline friends. Okay. Cherry Pit Spit says, I don't know what noises deer make, so I default to cat. We should... Am I going to look up video of a deer really quickly? Yes, I am. Chat, we are doing a really quick diversion before we wrap up. Deer sounds. Okay. No, that's not deer sounds. Okay.
The one thing I really couldn't get
Oh
through
no,
to
it's
Simon
more of
from
the
your
podcast.
essay-
Stop. Okay. This is 4 minutes long. I guess deer just are very quiet, right? These are the noises that you're making. Little small noises, and that's okay. That's important. Million Peaches says they bark. C is dog. You're biased. Million Peaches, you're biased. Okay. Chat, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to everyone who donated, subscribed, cheered, and subscribed to the Patreon. I look forward to chatting with people in the Discord. Remember that if you join the Discord, you need to write a little intro and then go to the roles and get into the rest of the server that way. And I will see you all next week for some more Pliberal slop. And keep making animal noises for me throughout the week, reminding yourself that you're a soft animal who is not meant to live like this under these conditions. Just like we all are, and I believe that we will win. I believe we will be free, and we will have a world where we can all just be soft animals. Okay, I will see you all next week.